Greetings, friends. Now, I believe that the audio should be pretty good. Hi, Teresa. Hey, Perrin. Yeah, it's been a bit. It's good to have you. Hello, Michelle. Hola, Jude. Yeah, so last week at the very end, we discovered that a lot of people, if if you're using earbuds, that you can only hear it on one side coming through, and someone was saying it was only on my on this one on my live. Hi, Ian. Aloha. Um, and then we discovered I went over here to the audio button, audio thing, and opened it and went to microphone quality, and it was the default was stereo, and I think I must have seen that before and thought that sounds right. Stereo. In my day, stereo meant good quality. The other choice was high quality. And I promise you, I was not holding back on purpose. I did not choose high quality to try to, keep you guys in the low quality audio atmosphere. But anyway, hi Kay. Hopefully the quality does sound high to you because, you know, the computer and the interface aren't that fancy. They do the job. But it's a good microphone. You should paid good money for one of those podcaster microphones. So anyway, it was funny. It's funny too that it went on that long. I appreciate people must have just thought, well, this guy just doesn't have his act together, but I like what he says or something. It's funny that an employee hadn't come in and been like, "Hey, buddy, click high quality." So I've used our first 3 minutes to fool around on that note, and here's where we begin our first short guided meditation. Yes, Ian, exactly. And maybe you've told me before, but I don't remember. Guys, we're friends. If I have something on my face, you know, tell me. We can I can take it. I can take it. All right. So I'm thinking about foundation, what holds together, what holds us up, literally holds our life together, what props us, the foundations of this moment, maybe is the way to think of it. Consider the room we're in, the seat we're on, being kept safe from the cold, supported, literally being held up, and by extension, being held up by the earth. The requisites the requisites in general, the food, shelter, medicine that made it possible for us to come to this moment. The technology that's connecting us, the wisdom, the love, friendship, the getting to the other side of hardships. And so again, often at the beginning, just taking this general idea as a way to color the mind, to influence the weather system of the mind. When we turn to paying attention to this moment, this breath, let it have the flavor of appreciation, and in some cases, the more intense flavor of gratitude. Excuse me. Okay. So, as suggested there in the opening meditation, our topic today is gratitude. I had another one going, and then I couldn't get the introduction together, and then I remembered, oh yeah, it was just Thanksgiving. This one makes sense to do now. Anyway, I'll work on that other one. It's making an analogy that was just anyway. So what I decided to do was take some stuff from Tanisaro Bhikkhu, who I think is like I'm the best Buddhist teacher, a meditation teacher out there, but not to drive you away from me, but uh, he had some good stuff to say about generosity. And one of the things I like about it is he kind of really gets into some of the subtleties, and um, it helps me look at it in a different way. Like, we all kind of know what, did I say generosity? We all know what gratitude is, and we sense it and feel it, but I think it's good food for thought, put it that way. So I'm going to read a couple short passages from him, um, maybe give some thoughts, and then open it up, because this is a good one. I mean, they're always good ones to hear from everybody. The discussion is often the best part, I think, of these meetings. Thanks, Michelle. Uh, so an interesting thing from uh, in the Buddhist tradition, and actually it's in other traditions as well. Honor thy parents. So there's a very high priority on gratitude to the parents, and I've different thoughts on this. Not because of my parents, like, my parents are good, but as far as where, like, the debt is owed, um, you know, I've always felt that I owe my children, like, that's just from my, but this is kind of, and I think they're not saying that we don't, but it's very vivid, the debt of gratitude that Buddhism puts on the um, parents. So anyway, I will read a little bit. The only way to repay your parents is to strengthen them in four qualities: conviction, virtue, generosity, and discernment. To do so, of course, you have to develop these qualities in yourself, as well as learning how to employ great tact in being an example to your parents. As it happens, these four qualities are also those of an admirable friend, which means that in repaying your parents in this way, you become the sort of person who'd be an admirable friend to others as well. You become a person of integrity who has learned from gratitude how to be harmless in all your dealings and to give help with an empathetic heart, respectfully, in a timely way, and with a sense that something good will come of it. In this way, you repay your parents' goodness many times over by allowing its influence to spread beyond the small circle of the family into the world at large. In so doing, you enlarge the circle of their goodness as well. So the preamble to this, I should have said, was like, if you carried both of your parents on your shoulders for your whole life and, like, massaged their limbs and all this, like, you still wouldn't, be able to repay them. But in um, and oftentimes, the Buddhist answer is to to do the practice very well. So in this case, it's to express your gratitude. It's to do the practice very well, to be an admirable friend, and in particular to bring about conviction, virtue, generosity, and discernment in people. And it's the same with well, it's kind of the same with all the things, but they talk about teachers as well, and it's kind of in the same category as parents. To repay a teacher's compassion and sympathy in teaching you is to apply yourself in learning your lessons well. Only then can you spread the good influence of those lessons to others. um, and then I thought this was an interesting one. We don't usually think this way. I don't think, maybe you do. As for the debts you owe yourself for your past good karma, the best way to repay them is to use your benefits as opportunities to create further good karma and not simply enjoy the pleasure they offer. It's important to remember the hardships that can be involved in acting skillfully and to honor your past skillful intentions by not allowing them to go to waste in the present. For example, as Ajahn Lee once said, it's not easy to attain a human mouth, so bow down to your mouth every day. In other words, respect your ability to communicate and use it to say only what's timely, beneficial, and true. So use your mouth for right speech. If you appreciate if you have gratitude for your mouth, um, use it for right speech, and I guess you go through all of the different aspects. One other aspect I wanted to bring up before I just kind of opened it up is it's an idea of trust that goes with kind of generosity and gratitude. And I guess this is kind of built in. It's kind of built into the legal way. Some people like to establish a trust, right? And Tina Surbika was talking in a Dharma talk about how when they established their monastery outside of San Diego, there was the idea, but it took a lot of people's, time and money and care. And a lot of it is done on trust. Like you're trusting that this is going to be uh, used well in the future. And this goes with the idea of dana as well, donations. Like when you guys make a donation to me, part of it is that you trust that I'm not going to misuse that, right? So, um, so then in turn, you repay that trust by using it well. You show your gratitude by saying, "Well, thanks for trusting me." So there's a little passage that ends with that idea. Keep in mind the distinction between gratitude and attitudes like appreciation or contentment. Someone said recently that gratitude is wanting what you have. That's actually a description of contentment or appreciation. Gratitude is more focused. It's focused on actions, the actions you've benefited from and the actions you feel called on to make in response to repay your debt of gratitude and to try to continue this stream of goodness into the world, on into the future. So all of the benefits that have been entrusted to us will bear fruit. That's how we show that we're worthy of that trust. I really like that. The benefits that have been entrusted to us. In some cases, it's actually people who have done done deeds, gone out of their way to help us. In some cases, it's maybe seems like luck or whatever it happens to be. It could be past karma or what have you. But either way, I like that idea that whatever benefits we do have, maybe they've been entrusted to us, and we want them to bear fruit into the future. We have to be worthy of that trust. What do you think? See, she was saying, this topic's good for me. I'm not someone who laments when they don't have. I want for nothing, yet often fail to truly appreciate the good fortune and blessing of that alone. Never mind, feel true gratitude for what and who that I do have in my life, especially the basics we take for granted, like family, clean air, a reliable water supply, personal freedom. Nice. Yeah. Yeah. It is a lot, Perrin, sort of. I guess it's kind of a lot to ask for me to give you like these interpretations that I get from Tanisha Bhikkhu, and then, but first thoughts. We can open it up. The benefits entrusted to us and the right thinking, metta-based approach to return these. Yeah, yeah, that's yeah. Like we said, with right speech, like the gift of a mouth. We've been entrusted with the gift of speech. So we use right speech. We've been entrusted with the gift of a mind. So we want to think right. We want our mind to express goodwill, the wish for well-being. Yeah, and like with many of these topics, it's just it's another filter, another turning of the kaleidoscope, and say, oh, there's another angle with which to apply this, because the good thing about gratitude, it definitely can, when you feel it, it takes the staleness off, right? I mean, that's one of the things we don't want our practice to feel stale and like we're going through the motions. And so we need to give it a turn. And sometimes it's just like Jude says, it's like the very basic things, we're supported by, you know, clean enough water and air and family, food, personal freedom. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of amazing how, yeah, the very most valuable things are, you know, I mean, and we have to take them for granted to a degree. You know, we'll, we can't be lost in a dizzying, you know, ecstasy of gratitude at every moment. We do have to function, and part of that is, with what we're given, we want to do well. We want to we do need to operate in the world, and so it could be that's a nice practice. Obviously, gratitude practice is it's pretty popular these days. It's an idea, but maybe a nice way to apply it is to consider that, like, what will I do with my hands today? I've been given capable hands. What will I do? What's something I can do with them today to show that I've been I'm worthy of being entrusted with such things. Certainly, I won't do harm with them. You know, certainly I won't steal or kill. Perhaps I'll build something. Perhaps I'll bring some food to the food shelter. Perhaps it's kind of fun. Like, you can make like a little, like, sort of prayer out of it. Like, what will I do with my eyes today? And to not notice or realize that some or all of them are just, yeah, totally. The gratitude of the mouth for right speech, as I always associate the mouth with the mind, ego, but in this instance, it doesn't have to be. As Rumi's poem says, when the lips are silent, the heart has 1,000 tongues. I guess you can still use the mouth to speak from the heart rather than the mind. Sure. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I guess that's something we can talk about sometime. I don't see the mind as problematic and the heart as good so much. I see them as just two sides of the same coin. Um, but I do know what you mean insofar as the mind is the construct maker. And funny, we talked last week about Sankara, the constructs, and not all of them being necessarily bad either. And yes, perhaps we need to put put them aside all ultimately. But yeah, indeed, it'd be kind of weird if we weren't talking and writing right now. We wouldn't be doing this. So um, it's the intention behind the constructs we're making. Yeah, cool, Therese. Yeah, yeah. I hadn't thought of it quite that way either. I was really happy to come across that. It's a nice fresh way to think about life and gratitude. It's funny from the On the topic of what Perrin was saying too, with the mouth, like I've never, I've talked to you guys about this before, guys who are earlier. I've never really been much of a contemporaneous speaker, but this has had brought it out more in me, and it's interesting. There is a degree to which you have to trust yourself to let it flow out. Like the reason why you would have like stage fright when you pull back is because you don't. It's a lack of trust. So, yeah, I think we can all talk much less and be with each other just with presence, even when on our own. Talk less with our inner voice. Yeah. Oh, I absolutely agree with that. Definitely. Um, I and I guess on the subject that I was just saying, I tend to be a more quiet person. Most of my friends are the more talkative ones. I do have one that I talk more than, um, but the real, I mean, it's real with the friends. Like it's nice to be able to sit in silence, but when the onslaught of the inner monologue, inner dialogue is really the one. It's Yeah, it really is it's quite a skill to be able to notice it and quiet it down. Yeah, I have these, I have this mind, I have thoughts, you know, let me use them wisely. That could be something that you say, so there's you would say that in your mind, to your mind. Uh, and maybe that would be helpful if you had the opportunity to notice and weren't indulging in it. We've talked about how there's there's something we must like about it when we're abusing ourselves with thoughts like that. You know, there's something being rewarded. Some dopamine thing going on, some kind of hit. Uh, but we also know like this is exhausting. This is not good for us. Uh, and if we can catch it and say something like, "Oh, I have this wonderful mind and capable of thought, I've been entrusted with. Why don't I use it for good?" You know, Small talk to merely fill dead air is beginning to wear thin for me, but I see this as my issue to resolve rather than theirs. Social nervousness makes people betray their true selves, and having empathy for the source of that in them is a practice in itself. Totally, yeah. Yeah, I do think it's essential. I think what you say is absolutely spot on. We don't. It's not our responsibility to train them to not. You know, they got to do what they got to do. There are instances where we all are doing something that someone notices, and maybe if the trust is there, if it's right, if it's a situation where it's appropriate for someone to teach the other, then that's fine. But in a lot of cases, they have to do their thing, and you can do your practice and be compassionate. Um, Nina saying, "I've been pausing to truly listen without relating a similar story, adding to suffering, or advising, just acknowledge, holding space, and reiterating what words they use." Nice. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, listening is a real skill. Active listening. That's That's a really good thing. It's a generous way to be with somebody for sure. And sometimes there is a case where a similar story is helpful. But it's an art really, and that's a really good basis. Just to start. If someone is in pain, you're hearing their story. Like, I think you put it very well. Ian is saying, I'm thankful to have parents who are different in speech. My mom says whatever is on her mind, and my dad speaks when he has something to say. Interesting. Yeah. I I have a very talkative dad. Both my parents are fairly talkative. Validating when listening is so helpful when genuine, especially. Yep. Definitely. Yeah, it's interesting the style of on Ian's. I've, as someone who's relatively quiet in social settings, there's definitely different styles of talkative, and some are a little easier than others. Some are maybe more aggressive, because I definitely have people who are very talkative, but they're very open to. Excuse me. Pardon me very much. Open to, like, if they see that I'm going to say something, they'll you know they'll open the way because they know that that's how they talk. Whereas there are some kind of talkers who it's more like a steamroller, I guess. But let me catch up here. Let's see, parents saying exactly, Jude. There are teachers, as it hopefully makes us realize what we need to work on ourselves. It has to start with self-compassion. Once we accept our imperfect self unconditionally, we are whole and don't react to others from our own lack. It starts with self-kindness. Yeah, absolutely. So the initial, our first role always to demonstrate that we've been entrusted well is you know to work on ourselves, to have compassion for ourselves. And yeah, it's definitely, that's the basis. Father cursed with foot and mouth disease. I've been trying not to inherit my whole life. That's great. I mean, you know what I mean, but that's great. It's vivid. Well put, as usual. Yeah. We were talking the other day about how when you get older, like, you don't realize that you're whispering. I mean, you don't realize that you're not whispering. You think you're whispering. So we were talking about our parents, me and my buddy, and just being like, "Hey, does that guy, etc." And he was being like, "Mom, Mom, they can hear you," whatever. It's speaking of foot and mouth. But at some point, I guess you don't really mind as much. Also, once you've been around the block a few times. So, well, so I thought it's a nice discussion. I think those different angles kind of are helpful ways to, you know, think about gratitude and, what we can do, how we can use it as a tool in our practice. Um, oh, sure, will do, Michelle. I can, yeah, I think it's mostly from one. I think I have it still open pretty much. So I'll be able to share, and it'll be, yeah, I'll share like the whole thing so you can get the other, you know, the more drawn out version that has like the images of the guy carrying his parents on his shoulders and all that comes from that. It's some good imagery there. All right, well, perhaps it feels like it's time to excuse me, put the practice to practice. You know, take this vehicle we've been entrusted with and try to do something good with it. And yes, thank you, Michelle. Come join us at the Mark Zelinsky Live group. Just go to InsightTimer groups, and I think you can just search my name and you'll find us there. And that's where the conversation goes on, other than approximately every Sunday at around this time. All right, let us meditate. So, just in setting up the mind for the meditation, I want to focus a little on that idea of the gratitude to our past self. It's quite easy to feel lacking, because life is imperfect, and sometimes we feel maybe that the only person around to blame is right here. But there have been very many good decisions our past self made that we should be grateful for, and develop that feeling of being entrusted. with the fruit of those decisions. Not least of which the one that brought us here today, and along the same lines as the one that has had us doing some kind of spiritual practice, meditation, etc., working on ourselves. It's no small thing. It's not perhaps the majority of people who do that. So however that takes shape for you and your mind, just sort of picking up the baton, handed on to us. So that we might pass it on. And with that, feeling of entrustment, care, responsibility should give a tone, timbre to how we bring our attention through the body. If you were handed a delicate and valuable object, how might you carry it from one room to another? What would be the quality of your attention? And so when we bring our attention into our bodies that we've brought along here for however many years, let the attention have that quality. The breath, the shape the breath takes as a shape of sensation in the body. Its job of refreshment, keeping life going, the many, many, countless breaths chained together, leading to this one. Just think of that foundation. And it brings a new light to the idea of the body as a temple. That this moment is truly worthy of reverence if we can open our minds to the understanding of the gratitude we owe. is just having a sensation, this moment being kind of like a pit stop between the past and future. I don't know if pit stop is the right idea, but a stop on some journey anyway, thinking about how, and especially when I say this moment as a moment where we are meditating, because there's an aspect to meditation which is a resting, a refreshment, a time when the regular rigors of the world are kind of intentionally pulled out. So imagine being in the midst of a, a hike or something like that. When you stop, you rest, have water and food, except for our water and food is the nourishment from the breath and from goodwill, the wish for well-being. Honing our idea of gratitude, and in part, like that thing that would make us want to finish the journey, take the next steps. Maybe it's a quest. The object we've been entrusted with is our minds and hearts. And sometimes find ourselves in concentration and feeling the fullness and equanimity even. And sometimes we get pulled back out and we're just in a different part of the rest. Perhaps we need to address the body again, scan through the body, do some appreciation for the different parts of the body. Bless our feet, bless our knees, our mouth, our eyes, our ears. Play with the breath. Sometimes it needs resetting, some nice, deep, refreshing breaths. Sometimes it needs to be calmed, just sips of breath. Taking in the body as a whole, expanding our awareness, making it broad so it can hold the whole without squeezing. And following each breath, each moment of each rising breath, each moment of the falling breath. And sometimes at the near the end of the sitting, I like to just make that subtle shift in awareness where during the meditation we're not focused too much on the past and future, but maybe taking this idea of the being entrusted the next step and just making it a little concrete, but thinking about our day, the rest of our day, or even maybe even just the first few moments, or the first minutes or an hour, whatever seems useful. Think of how we'll honor this vessel. What goodness will we bring, even in the smallest way? And staying with the breath and the body in this little reverie, this thought of the future can be helpful as well in solidifying. It's the practice of bringing the meditative mind into day-to-day life, which is not always easy to do. Just as we imagined stepping into the world, but all the while remaining right here in the body, in the breath. And for me, so a lot of times I'll gather up all my stuff here. I have to put some things away, bring my computer with me downstairs. If I'm not mindful, you know the first thing that will hit me is like the next task. That there's and I'll feel it in. This doesn't always happen. It can happen that I feel it in a constricted way because it's like I'm in this realm, and then I step into the house that has requirements of me. But instead, and often this is very warming, and it makes me go downstairs pretty lightly and feel good. But as far as using intention, it'd be good maybe for me to think today really on purpose. How will I serve? Ask not what this house can do for me. What can I do for this house? Broadly speaking, this family, this world. Appreciate that, Michelle. Didn't know I was going to quote JFK there. Speaking of extemporaneous speaking. Well, um, I think we should be good for next week. I'll get that up there. Well, I have to get it up there by Friday. So, yeah, if you don't follow me yet, follow me. Uh, smash that follow button. And um, yeah, join our little group there. It's a nice place to be updated on if there's going to be a session on Sunday and other stuff. Thank you, Jude. Appreciate that. Awesome. Thanks, Perrin. All right. Cool. Well, like I said, check over there for when we post our next session, and I look forward to seeing you all. Thank you very much for practicing with me, practicing with us. Nice to see a lot of my familiar faces here, and I see there's a bunch of people out there. I appreciate them being out there, even quietly. It's very valuable to have you with us. All right. Have a great week. Take care.